So when we're talking about socializing our animals with body handling and grooming and medical body conditioning and different things like that, one of the cool things about this is they can learn this at any age. And this is one of my favorite topics to talk about this with, because with our, I guess, previous host of cats, we up until a couple months ago had 3, all of whom were adults, and they ranged in age from about 3.5 to 16.5. And our older cat, our 16.5-year-old cat, hadn't started doing any body handling work until he was about 14, and he was a terror at the vet's office and whenever they tried to get him groomed or his nails done. And our 4-year-old cat, 4.5-year-old cat, had a lot of medical issues and needed nightly medication and handling and different things like that. So for both of those individuals, we had to train this later in life than those first few months when we'd ideally train it. Now our youngest cat, who is about to turn 4, Ho, he has also been trained in all of this body handling and medical conditioning and all grooming stuff because we figured it was easier to teach while they're young if possible. And now whenever he sees the pill gun come out or the oral syringe come out, he's like, oh my gosh, it's going to be treat time. It's going to be fun. And that's the reaction we want. If I put his training mat out on the ground, he comes right over to his training mat. And if I have a tube of cherry with me, if he hears that, he'll come running. He will often sit there and start lifting up his paw, which is a new behavior that we've been training, where he'll lift up his paw, I'll put it in my hand, and I will start trimming his nails. We're also working on, fun fact, also working on the behavior where if he's laying down on his side on the mat and his paws are more readily visible, I'm teaching him to fan out his paws where I can see all of his nails. And I'm training that behavior as well. So if he's sitting, we have him put his paw in my hand so I can reach his nails, and I'm touching his toes and doing all those things. And I'll show you the beginnings of that game with these two in just a minute. And then with laying on the ground where I can see his paws more easily, I'm having him fan out his toes so I can see them individually. He's a black cat, so being able to see his toes is really helpful. So that said, body handling and conditioning. And yeah, I saw in the chat, Kay was saying a training mat. Yes, training mats are awesome. They can be literally anything you want. A bed, we use placemats for our cats because they're easy and they're a different color from our carpet. I can move them anywhere I want them to. But our cats know their training mats mean fun things are about to happen, whether it's, trick training, whether it's basics, whether it's husbandry. They know the mat means great things. So let me start with some definitions. What is husbandry? Husbandry is training for the health and well-being of our pets, and it makes those situations less stressful. So we also use husbandry in humans, although we don't think of it that way, but you are in fact trained on what to do to go in for a blood draw. You are trained to go in, sit down, roll up your sleeve, hold out your arm, and at least in my case, look the opposite direction. Because even if we don't like these things that are going to happen, it's much less stressful if we know what's going to happen as opposed to if it were a surprise every time, which would be terrible. If we can give our pets that same bit of information of what to expect when they're being handled for medical needs or for grooming needs, or just basic body handling at home to be aware of your cat's health, that's really important. And why is it so important to do these things? Well, our pets are growing and changing all throughout their lives. My kittens are visibly growing every day. They're about 10 weeks old right now. Yes, Sapphire. I'm not sure if you can hear him meowing in the background. They're in their stroller next to me. But they're growing every day, and their bodies are going to change throughout their lives. So I want to make sure I know my cat, my dog, my rabbit, my whatever it is, really, really well. From the tips of their nose to their ears to their tails to their paws, every bit of them. Know what's normal, know what's not. And that might go from what their ears and eyes and nasal passages look like. Are they clean or are they getting a bit crusty? How do their ears smell? What do their gums look like? How does their tummy feel? And I'm not just saying rub their tummies. I'm saying palpate and press on their abdomens and know what a healthy, happy tummy feels like on a good day, and know what it feels like if they're having soft stool or if they've been vomiting. Know what their skin and coat are like. Are they suddenly really dandruffy? Is their coat getting duller? Notice all of these details because they can make a really, really big difference. And the 2 stories I like to share, one of which is from when I was younger, with one of my first cats, who lived to be 21. She was 16 when I found a bump smaller than a dime on the back of her paw. And after double checking it many times, we determined it was not a toe, and we went to the vet. And luckily, it turned out just to be a benign cyst. My vet said something I've never forgotten, which was, I've known this cat for 16 years and I wouldn't have found this. It's true. It was right above where that higher toe is on the back of the cat's back paw. And I had to check it a couple times just to make sure. And no one's ever going to know your pet as well as you do. So really get to know your pet. Know what bumps have always been there and which ones may be newer. Know what's normal. The other story comes from our cat, Ginny, who was the one who needed a lot of medical help. Ginny, we noticed right before COVID began, started having some changes in her meows. They were a little bit breathier, is the best way I can describe them. And it wasn't all the time, but it started happening a bit more frequently, so we went to the vet, and long story short, found out she had a textbook level severe fungal infection. And she was we were very close to losing her at that time because her lungs, or around her chest cavity and lungs was full of fluid. So we were able to get that taken care of, but that was a really subtle indicator. Her meow changed, and it really gave us another way of looking at husbandry. It's not just what they're doing every day, how they're acting, what their body feels like. It's also the sounds they're making or their changes there. So lots of things to think about when we think about behavior handling and husbandry and different things like that. Now, what I want to start this conversation off with is how we do these things safely. And this is a massive topic. There's no way I can dive into everything for this in today's chat. But I'm going to share with you a video that isn't going to talk about body handling. It isn't going to talk about cats or dogs, but it is going to talk about what we call choice in animal training. And choice gives us a huge amount, it gives our animals a huge amount of control in more challenging situations. And you're going to get links to all of this in our follow-up email. But choice gives them the ability to tell us what they can do, when they need a break, and it makes it easier to do hard things. So I use this with all the medical handling and grooming handling that I do. We're going to watch the first couple minutes of this.
One of the greatest lessons I've learnt from training exotic animals, like this bush stone curlew, a nocturnal bird of Central Australia, is the importance of giving an animal choice. Choice gives control, and control builds confidence in your animal. When you remove as much force from your repertoire as is safe for the animal and the trainer, a whole level of new reinforcers opens up to you because the animal will always choose what behaviour is most reinforcing to it at the moment.
An animal will always do its most reinforcing at the moment. That is huge. So what you'll see with this bird is maybe that means I go forward for a food reward, or maybe it means I take a break and move away. That's really important. Taking that break gives us the power to say, wait, I need a second. Okay, I'm ready to try again. That makes such a big difference. If my pet knows they can make something difficult stop if they need it, it makes it easier for them to choose to tolerate or allow that harder, scarier, potentially challenging thing to happen. Super, super important. Also, watch for stress signals here. Behavior, much of it is very similar across species. So even though we are a bird, you're going to see lots of stress signals that should be familiar. Lifting a leg, looking away, hesitating, shifting their body weight, all different types of things. So look for those stress signals.
Here we're training our bush stone curlew to go into a pet pack. Obviously, eventually the pet pack will have a door on it, but at the moment we know that the most reinforcing thing for him is to actually be able to escape the pet pack should he need to. When he goes in, he'll be given reinforcement of mouse and bugs, all those sorts of food reinforcers that he likes, but we don't want to give him a situation where he feels so threatened because he's going to be locked in the pet pack that he doesn't want to go into the pet pack even for his most favourite kinds of food. Now, at first glance, this can seem pretty counterproductive. We want him to stay in the pet pack and we are letting him come out when he wants to. How does this work? Well, he gets the choice of the reinforcer he wants. Both the food reinforcer and the chance to leave the pet pack reinforce the behaviour of staying in the pet pack. And when we give the animal this choice of which reinforcer they need at any given moment, in a pretty short time, we can't get them out of the pet pack. And this is
So that's the example of Poe when he goes onto his training mat and immediately offering a paw before he even sees the nail clippers. When they're enthusiastic about what you're doing, when you've given them that option of showing you what they can do in any given moment, they enjoy the things that you're teaching them, which might sound strange, but you can build that.
That's exactly what we want. We want not only to build a behaviour, but we also want to build a level of confidence and understanding in our animal that we're never going to force them or threaten them in any way. This way we build confidence not only in the behaviour, but also we build the relationship of trust that we so desperately need when we're working free-flight birds and other exotic animals in a zoological situation.
We're going to watch one more piece. And with this one, a quick bit of clarity. First of all, this is a leopard seal. We don't see these very often in the Northern Hemisphere. These are the ones in Antarctica who are known for eating penguins. Also krill, but penguins get all the attention. So she's going to say we didn't take our previously planned steps for this session. What she means is that when trainers begin a session, they have an idea of what they want to cover that day. Usually it's very specific. And what you find is sometimes your learners are able to follow that plan and move along through the training with you, and sometimes they're not. So you may have to change your plan in the moment to adjust to your learner. That's what we're seeing here. So it'll make more sense as she goes through, but initially it's a little bit confusing.
The choices that our animals make often can give us as trainers really important information as to how they are feeling about what we are asking them to do at that very moment. Here our leopard seal tells us that she's really feeling a little bit uncomfortable today, which meant that we did not take the steps we had planned to before starting the training session. While she had been going really well and hadn't balked at the transport crate as she did just then in the video for a long time, she did today, and we're all reminded that we all have bad days, even if you're a leopard seal. It's really important to remember that, just like us, animals are constantly forming emotional associations. How an animal feels about what you are asking it to do is going to make things either much harder or much easier.
Let's dig into that for a moment, especially when we are talking about medical and grooming handling. How they feel about what we're doing can make it easier or harder, like she's saying. So if you're working with nail trims or whatever with your pet and they're not really feeling it that day, step backwards, work on something easier. Work on just simply looking at it and then moving away. But really make sure that you are working where your pet can meet you. Because if we're pushing too far when they're clearly telling us they're just not there, you're going to actually see your training move backwards as opposed to forwards. And it's going to be frustrating for both of you. Now, that said, if we go to our vets or our groomers, we don't always have control over how that session goes unless they're fear-free certified, which I'll send you information about. They're probably not giving your pet as many choices as we might at home while we're training. But if they've had those choices in the past, they still have some expectation that's been built, and they can bounce back from it much more quickly in many cases. So good things to keep in mind.
The foundation of feeling plays a key role in the behaviour both we and our animals perform at any moment. So going back and helping Brooke with a target stick ensured that in the next session we were able to take our previously planned step of closing the door for just a few moments at a time while she remained relaxed and comfortable.
All right, so we're going to stop that clip for today. Again, you'll get that as part of your follow-up. Now, typically in these sessions, what I've done from this point is I've shown some video examples of a dog getting their nail trimmed and of my cats taking some medication and doing other work like that. You're going to get those in the follow-up email, but I've got kittens here today. So we're going to see what I can show you from what they've been working on, and they've stopped trying to climb out of the stroller and are now playing with each other. So, hello! Who wants to come out first? I'm going to steal Sapphire. Oh my goodness. So this is Sapphire. We are 10 weeks old. And, oh, very wiggly. Hello, my love. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to introduce some nail touch games with him, if I can. Challenging to do one-handed in the air as opposed to on the floor. I really don't want to put you on my computer. Hold on. Let me get the churu open. Whoop. Oh god, we have an escapee. Hello, kittens. Okay. Come here, Amethyst. Stay here, Sapphire. Thank you. Okay. Okay, babies. Nope, stay there, my love. Stay there, my love. Thank you. They know the games. Okay. Welcome to our lives these days. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get him interested in the churro. And I'm going to wait for him to start eating. This is going to get messy. So he's eating. So now what I could do, ideally, is hold that with this hand. Make sure he's supported. Let's see if we can get this organized here. Come here, baby. So this is easier if I can sit. Okay, so he's eating. We're going to play the toe touch game that we've been doing at home. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoops, you're slipping. 5. So typically, hi, Mila, you're too wiggly. Let's grab your sister, who's trying to escape. Okay. Hello, my love. This is Amethyst. Nope, we're going to lock you in because you know that game. You know how to escape one of the kitten jails. Yep. Excuse me. Thank you. Okay. So this is Amethyst. She's a bit less wiggly than her brother, but a bit harder to see on camera. So what we're going to do is we're going to, again, try and show you how we do nail touches. So I will hold her and just touch her toes and count her toe beans. It's a great game. No? Are we too wiggly? Yeah, we're too wiggly. Okay. Let's see. What do you want to do? You want to sit? Okay. You want to eat? Okay. Now, ideally, I'd have a second person with me, or I'd be doing this on the floor, which would be easier. But while she's eating, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can touch her toes. I'm counting them because that's what we're doing. So I'm going to wait for her to eat again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And initially, I'm just touching her toes and counting. Now I'm going to try and do this with a little tiny bit of pressure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what this is doing is she's eating. She's buying into this experience. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what this means is that nothing I'm doing is so hard or challenging that she cares enough to stop eating or try to escape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good job. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good girl. It's very hard to see her toes. I was hoping not to have the black cat for this. But this is just a kitten who's comfortable, who doesn't care what I'm doing. She's more focused on the food than on the body handling. Do the same thing with her ears. Can you see those ears? Good girl. Yeah, that was very good. Good girl. I can touch those ears. I can't see inside them right now. Good girl. But I can examine those ears. She also knows the phrase, let me get the goopies, which is me taking goopies out by her eyes. Good job, my love. And that wasn't scary. And actually, what I can do, let's talk about something else. Let's introduce a toothbrush. Yep. 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 Put some churro on here. Yep. Good girl. Good job. Now, she's chased us on the floor a few times with just some general object interaction. But now, yep, good girl. This is her first time doing this. We are now eating off the toothbrush. We are chewing on the toothbrush. There we go. Good girl. And there we go. That's how I'm starting to teach toothbrushing with my cat. And that, I think, was like 45 seconds, maybe. And there she goes. That toothbrush is a fun thing to interact with. It's a weird texture, but there's fun stuff happening. And you want to go see your brother. So I can get her back to her brother. Okay, one in. You want to come out? Okay, we're going to try this again, my love. Hi, do you want to try a toothbrush first? Yep. I know, my wiggle worm. Good job. So he doesn't sit nicely. I guess sister does. We're going to try this again. Yep. 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 So there he goes. We're looking at it. Good boy. Good job, Sapphire. And again, this is his, I think, first time interacting with a toothbrush. His sister was playing with it the other day. He wasn't. Good boy. There's our first chew. So I can get my pets interested in stuff like this pretty easily. Now he knows the toe bean game pretty well. Let me get some food going here. So we're eating. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Good boy. 4, 5. Good boy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make sure your food keeps coming out. That way they don't stop eating just because there's something there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, I'm looking at his feet. This is a bit more challenging, but he's doing a great job. Check his ears. Good boy. Good boy. Good job, little one. Get my nail clippers. Pull them near his feet. Touch his toes. Good boy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good boy. I can get my pretend stethoscope, which is cold and shiny. Good boy. You stop to investigate it. But we're more interested in food. Good boy. Feel that chest. You can feel that side. Good boy. He's like, wait, I can't get to the food. Good boy. The spoon's almost bigger than you. Good boy. So I can get my cat used to all sorts of medical handling, or my dog. It's easier to hold by doing this sort of stuff. This feels fun. This is the first that we've introduced the nail clippers actually near his toes, or the spoon, and he just doesn't really care. The food is more interesting. Now, for a pet who's a little bit older, thank you, my love, who has some more, take your brother back. Yeah, good job, littles. Good job, my little ones. For a pet who already has some experience with medical handling and grooming not necessarily being a fun experience, you might go slower. You will definitely go slower. But giving them choices, if my cat is eating food and I hold these, or I just put them on the floor near my cat or my dog, what do they do? Do they care? Do they stop eating? Do they look at it regularly? What if you reach towards them while they're sitting on the floor? Does that change what your pet is doing? Be really aware of every little step of this. Some pets you'll have to. Why am I getting out churro? There's no one here to eat it. Oh my god. Hold on. Obi-Wan, I need your help. Thank you. Oh, you're both covered in churro now. Okay, that'll be fun. So what you want to do is move at your pet's pace when you introduce something. Some pets, like these two, you can progress very quickly through introducing a new object and having them interact with it in the way that you want them to interact with it. With others, you go one tiny step at a time. So work with your pet, see where they're at. You might plan out a behavior that's 20 steps, in the making, maybe for nail trims. And you might find that the first couple steps really take some time, but after that, you can skip 2 or 3. It depends where your pet is at, what their experience is, and how enthusiastic they feel about the training that you're doing. Now, obviously, there's so many pieces that we can go over with this, but one last thing I want to touch on is kind of what was talked about in that video we just watched, which is how our pets feel emotionally about what we're doing. I'm going to send you 2 videos as part of the follow-up. One of them is my cat Kitty getting some, doing some paw touches and nail trim work when he's feeling calm and relaxed on his training mat. And the next video is him doing some nail touches and attempted, well, we actually didn't get past nail touches, after we had just given him voluntary flea medication on his back. Now, even though he had allowed that without any restraint, he still wasn't very happy about it because I don't enjoy topical flea medication, and he was much less tolerant of the body handling that we were doing with his paws. So even though he had been doing beautifully in one video, you're going to see him struggle in a second. And that was filmed after the first, about 2 to 3 weeks after the first, if I recall correctly. So context makes a big difference. Always meet your learner where they're at. You'll also get, it's been very cat-centric, you're also going to get a video of a dog doing some nail trim work with some peanut butter. It's a great video. The trainer has excellent timing. One of the things you want to watch for, speaking of timing, is when your pet is eating. So for example, if I'm feeding my pet and they're eating their food and they stop eating, or they turn away, or they pull their paw away, or whatever it is that we're doing, that's my signal to stop. So if I'm training, present food, wait for them to start eating, start your handling once they're eating, take the food away as soon as they stop eating, or they fidget, they pull away in a significant way, stop. You stop, food stops. Present the food again, they start eating, you can start handling, they stop, you stop. And that's really important because, again, it gives your pet the choice of either staying in the game and buying into the game or taking a break and moving away. And we're going to respect those boundaries so they're more and more willing to stay there and let us handle. So where can you work on this stuff? You can obviously do it at home with your pets, clearly, but you can also get some professional training help if you need it. We are starting the next round of Trainable Cat today, and I do a lot of body handling in the Trainable Cat class. We do some in kindergarten as well. But we are also offering a class called Cooperative Care and Handling, and that is for dogs and cats. It's a 6-week class. It's offered online, and it just focuses on those types of behaviors. It's really cool. One of them is how to teach your pet to trim their own nails by scratching on a surface. So there's a couple different ways to teach these things. There's a lot of really cool stuff in there. Again, it's appropriate for dogs and cats. It's 6 weeks, it's $180, and it's offered online. So if you have any questions about that, let us know. But otherwise, I'm going to give us these last couple minutes for questions. I'm going to stop our recording, and we'll go from there. Thank you.